Insidious DGW. I'm Daniel. So today I'm going to talk about dealing with loss. Now, I'm sure that at some point in all of our lives, we have lost people we care about. We have lost family, friends, pets, and other loved ones to do something outside of our control. And it's important that we validate today the emotion of grief. Okay, grief comes in many forms. Most of the time, it's just, people deal with it in different ways, many of it unhealthy. You know, when we're dealing with loss, we tend to isolate ourselves. We tend to ignore the relationships around us, and we just shut ourselves off from any healthy connections in the world. And we try to cope with the feeling of loss. I would love comments below of how you have experienced loss and how you deal with it, because I could use some ideas as well. But when we're talking about loss, it's important to remember this one thing, that it's okay to cry. It's okay to not be okay. So many times in this day and age, people tell us the wrong thing. Just shut it out. Let it go. Ignore the feeling. And while it can be healthy to let it go after a time, really it's up to us to determine the appropriate time we grieve. For example, a few years back, I'm sorry, a few years back, my aunt, she passed away due to a incurable disease. And for 2 weeks, I was distraught. I isolated myself. My best friend asked me if there's anything she could do for me, and I told her, no, I just need to grieve. And what she told me, shout out to her, is very important, so listen up. What she said is, when you are done grieving and you are ready to talk about it, I'm here for you. So step one in dealing with loss is having a good support group. Your friends, family, or a therapy support group, a peer group. If you're part of a band, talk to them, express it in song, or just really find that one person you can connect to help you through it. It's important to realize that when we talk about loss and grief, that, putting up walls, isolating ourselves is not going to be healthy in the long term. It may seem like it's better for us to cut off our emotions, to cut off our feelings, and to not acknowledge the pain. For me, has been all about distractions. I got to do this today. I got to work on this today. I got to go to this appointment. I got to do anything but focus on this emotion. And there are times where I find myself really focused on the loss. And it's important that when we focus on the feeling of loss, we don't get consumed by it. We don't allow it to consume us. It's okay to feel it. It's okay to not be okay and to allow ourselves to cry, to break down, to be vulnerable. Now, I haven't always been the most open person when it comes to personal loss. I've been very shut in, isolated, but it's important for us all to validate the feeling of loss, to know deep down in our hearts that we are missing whoever we have lost. We are missing our loved ones, our family, whatever shape and form that takes, we are missing them. We are wanting to be with them. And that we would do anything to hear their voice again, to have them tell us, you're okay. You are loved. In times like that, it's important to tell that to ourselves, to really think about it like this. Would our loved ones want us to constantly be depressed? Would our loved ones want us to constantly be isolated and to be consumed by this feeling of grief and loss? No. They would want us to find happiness in the small things, to be okay without them being there. Sure, we can miss hugging them, speaking with them, all the good memories we have of them. And that's okay to feel that way, to feel the absence of their presence. By the same token, it is ineffective for us to dwell and to be drowned in this feeling of despair. Loss is heartbreaking. I won't deny that, and you shouldn't deny it either. Loss is one of the strongest feelings that is associated with love, believe it or not. Most of the time when we feel loss is because we loved whoever we lost so deeply that it broke our hearts, that it shattered our sense of self, and it shattered our sense of being, and broke our emotions to the point where we just feel broken, everything went to pieces, and we're trying to put that back together. Now, here are some things that we can do to express loss in a healthy way. Write a song. Remember your loved one. Focus on the positive. Don't focus on the negative about them. Don't focus on, the bad times. Just focus on how they made you feel. And be okay to accept that although they may not be here, they are still living in your heart. That they are still alive in your memory, and yes, in your love for them still. I'm not going to say there's a magic cure-all for loss. There is not. You know, all we can do is try to put happiness into the world. All we can do is try to turn that pain into a positive experience, to be a beacon, to be a light to other people, and to really connect with our emotions on a great scale, and being able to turn that pain into something constructive and beautiful. For that is what our loved ones would want, for us to live life to the fullest and to spread happiness around. You know, it's okay to be depressed, to feel grief. It's okay to acknowledge that you are hurting, to validate that. Whether you just break down and cry, whether you just express yourself a different way, it's okay to still not be okay. And I think in this life, we need to really focus on things that matter. So, in a little bit, I'm going to go outside. I'm going to get some fresh air. Just going to feel that sunlight and really connect with it. That warm feeling of I'm alive, I am well, but most importantly, I am okay. I will get through this. Because when we take time to go on walks, to journal, to listen to music, to express our pain in a way that is constructive and beautiful, we are honoring those who we have lost. Because they would not want us to sit in suffering and judgment. You know, what if I'd done more? What if I'd loved them more? What if I had said something different or done something different, chosen a different path so that maybe I wouldn't have lost them in the way that I did? The most important thing we can do is not judge ourselves for something we had no control over, and to accept the fact that while they are gone and we are allowed to miss them, it's important to recognize that they would not want us to suffer, that they would want us to be the best version of ourselves that we can be, and to constantly bring happiness and joy to other people's lives. I will admit that it's not always easy. You know, at times it's very easy to be selfish, to be cut off, and to say, screw it, I don't need to do anything for other people. But if we continue down that path, if we cut ourselves off because we're suffering, the only thing we're going to do is create a cycle of suffering around us. We're going to hurt our loved ones. We're going to hurt our friends and push them away. Don't do that, my friends. Be open. Be compassionate to yourself. And recognize the fact that you are loved. And that your loved ones, whoever you lost, would want you to be happy. Would want you to be able to accept the fact that, yes, they are gone, but they're not gone from your heart. That's the important thing. Because, believe it or not, the memories that our loved ones give us remain in our hearts and are etched in our minds. That love is still there. That love is always going to be there. Till the day that it's our turn to go meet them over the Rainbow Bridge. Don't give in to despair. Don't give in to negative self-judgment. Be compassionate toward yourself, and you will be okay. I hope you are well, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Please leave some comments below on how you deal with loss, and I will respond to them. This has been Daniel here, and I hope you open your hearts to love and kindness. Goodbye.